Well, we are back in the studio. We are so grateful to be back again, able to be chatting with you. We just had a fantastic weekend at Megacon in Orlando, Florida. I know a lot of you love the convention circuit. Some of you love it enough that you go to multiple throughout the country. Some of you want the OG Comic-Con, San Diego. My hometown one, of course, is the Salt Lake one. I judge a costume contest there every year.
And what's it called?
Fanic.
That's the plug.
That's right.
Yeah.
So many amazing animation styles out there.
Yeah.
I mean, the history of animation, now that we're past a century, gosh, it's so much to explore.
Yes. Which brings us to the Artist Alley Gallery.
Artist Alley?
It's overwhelming to attempt to see everything in a con, and we did it in 2 days. Intersectional multiculturalism. We've said before how in our bachelor's degree, which was an arts degree, we had to do a diversity class, which I think was very beneficial, opening up the reality of this is where these things come from, these are the representations of these groups. It helps to avoid cultural appropriation. It helps to increase respect and understanding. Intersectional multiculturalism is the idea that as a multicultural being, we are multifaceted, we are multicultural. One of my favorite ways of dissecting multiculturalism is addressing. It was an acronym and all the things identified different areas. Intersectional has turned into a more easily identifiable concept because I genuinely appreciate it. We have intersections and crossroads where like you and I have a similar generation. So that is the intersection where we meet, where we are in the same identity realm.
You and I specifically have shared experiences from formative chapter of our life.
And the fact that we both have theater degrees from the same space, all that we're artists.
Shared folks in our network.
One of the big things that made this happen is the idea that storytelling in and of itself became such a focal point where it seemed like both of our lives had led us to, where we started out loving movies, loving stage, theater, production, storytelling, but it evolved. It took us a while to get to, but why?
What am I doing with that? And why? Yeah.
But why? But why? Because the why helps us reach that. What do I want to do with it even? The higher purpose. Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning. We knew we loved these things, but what does that actually mean and say about us? And how can we utilize that? What is that supposed to create? Intersectional multiculturalism, it's funny because we have fan mashups. And so fan mashups, I was like, oh my gosh, guys, that's like the literal version of intersectional multiculturalism. The idea of you don't have to be one thing. They are part of a whole entire package. So that's multicultural, but the intersectionality is that idea of what we end up seeing as actual individuals, the characters, who we are, and that we create with our multicultural identity. That's intersectional multiculturalism. And it's like being a Whovian and a Supernatural fan and a Buffy fan.
I can tell I've been in theater long because you said Whovian and my brain immediately went to the Who's.
I know.
In Suits.
In Suits.
I was like, oh yeah, I've done that show 3 times. Oh yeah, the Who's.
The Who's.
We are here, we are here, we are here. And everything Horton does.
Now that's a mashup that we have to come up with a costume for.
Yes, everything they do to like save an entire race of people if in the context of what you're talking about.
And that is what Doctor Who does too.
Yeah.
So that's real cute.
Many races
That's
across
adorable.
many times and universes and all the things.
I get that reference from Captain America and Avengers like all weekend long. I get that reference. So that also represents that intersectional multiculturalism. The fact that even if anime might be your happy core, you might also have some other stuff that I can connect to, that we can connect on. And that's what we've been doing this whole time. We've been picking movies that we think are influential and impactful in so many ways. Also throwbacks though for some of us, but also trying to keep it relevant and present for the younger generations. So trying to make sure we're hitting those multicultural marks of who are the audience that we're talking to and what all do they love. And so it was really fun seeing mashups.
For me, of course, coming from Maven Cinemas and just over a century's worth of film history, I love to see that obviously it goes beyond film. There's so many art forms covered there, like you were talking about.
Video games.
Between comics and video games and fantasy and anime and things that never make it to the big screen and all of that jazz. But I just... That's right. I just love that it's a place that brings everybody together and connects them. It just feels like a much larger, ginormous, grander scale of Maven Cinemas, and how we work very hard to make sure everyone gets to enjoy the things that they enjoy, and they get to enjoy the people who also enjoy them. That's my favorite part about it.
Yeah.
Is that it reminds you, I'm not on an island. There are other people who like the things that I like. There are other people who see it the same way as me. There's other people who see it differently. But that's okay, because we still love this film, or we still love this art form, or we still love this story. And it's just like a ginormous hub of storytelling. And you get to really truly see manifested on one of the most colossal scales ever why storytelling is so important for us as humans. If you don't believe storytelling is important, go to any convention ever, because you are going to see a million and one, probably just about every style of storytelling you can do, whether it's performance art, written word, just art, like your person who has things that aren't even associated with licensed characters, you know, literally
so that it can be sold at an amusement park, which is amazing and adorable. Right? I love that.
Literally every type of storytelling that possibly exists is at a conference, and you can really see, like right before your eyes, yes, humans need storytelling, and we thrive when we have more of it in our lives. So,
because that is the point. And I love how you did the island thing, because the bridges between the islands, that's your intersectional stuff. I might be like on an island and go, but I like that island too, and I can cross that bridge and we can meet there. And then you might take a bridge somewhere else, because I might then go down another lane that you're like, I respect that lane, but that one's not for me. You have fun over there. Let's meet back wherever, just like we did at the con, literally.
Be stuck in these long lines or in these big groups, and all of a sudden just start talking to a bunch of strangers, and maybe you're hearing about how they overcame like sickle cell disease, or maybe you're hearing about how they spent an extra 3 hours in line to see the cast members from Lord of the Rings. And that's okay, because here's the pros that came from that. You know, like, you're just getting to connect. It's just a lot of connections that are really positive. It just reminds you humans actually can be really cool.
Sometimes fandoms create a safe space.
Well, like, even
and making sure that it's on the fans to make it a safe space. Like, don't be gatekeepy. Help people understand the fandom. They can be visitors. They don't have to buy a citizenship or residency in that fandom. Anybody who's interested in the fandom, just help them understand, right? Because they might go, okay, that's awesome. I respect it. But kudos to the happy places that people create, and they find their communities. And just like Bridget wearing the wig, she wore it through the photo to make sure Elijah Wood got the whole entire costume idea and understood what we were. He did. And that was the most precious moment. She's like, as soon as the photo's over, because the wig was starting to hurt her head. And I'm like, that is why I don't cosplay. I can't do fashion over comfort. I respect everyone who can, like, for every reason you do it. Yeah. It's commitment.
Well, and you were a perfect example where there were 4 people hanging out at a conference together, and 3 of us, we didn't know each other. We knew you, and you brought 4 people together to have an experience, and we could be standing in line, and I could be having a conversation with someone who's technically not my friend, they're your friend, and we can voice our opinions about Star Wars and where we think it's gone. And obviously we grew up as fans, and obviously a lot has come out recently. When we were kids, that wasn't true. There was just this one little contained ball. Now it's just this massive universe, and it was great. We could just sit and say, I like this, and there were some things that overlapped that we liked together, and there were some things that I liked that she didn't, and vice versa. Like, I think that's such a great, it's just nice, like you said, a nice little neutral territory, a nice little like unifying grounding point for people just come together.
And I also think, as the proprietor of a movie theater and cinema, that kind of situation is helpful, because you're looking at that you are creating a safe space. That's one of the magical parts about you, is that reality that you have acknowledged always, that art and storytelling can have its purpose, can be respected, but acknowledging whether it's for you or not.
Yeah, everyone receives it in their own way.
Right, but then if people do, if you know there's a big enough love, you will go, okay, let's see how we can work with that. Like, let's see where we can find that intersectionality and be able to promote that, provide that space for that group to do that thing.
Yeah, and give people space to have the feelings they have. You know, It's so easy as humans that we get stuck in our perspective, and we say, you have to love this about Star Wars and you have to hate this about Star Wars, and anyone who sees it differently than you can get real big feelings. But yeah, at Maven Cinemas, we want people to feel like you're allowed to have your perspectives, you're allowed to have your perspectives. Art art is art and we all interpret it our own way, and
Right.
you should feel like there's not going to be any shame for loving what you love and not loving what you don't love about certain stories.
And just because you guys host an event or something for a certain fandom or group, or pretty much opening your doors literally for a community with that multicultural intersectionality concept, does not mean you have to be in love with that fandom to feel safe in that space. And that's also why movie theaters, since the beginning of time, and we talked about it with so many movies, including Captain America, that idea of that's how people were getting the news was in movie theaters. But movie theaters as entities, building spaces, have been such a safe space for so many people since they were created. But I also want to throw that out because that is literally, and it's why I'm here, because she actually has been able to manifest this dream to an extent where she is Maven Cinemas and she is making it happen. And that it is the coolest idea ever, creating that safe space. And that's what we're here for. And I love that. Yeah. And that's what you're doing. So.
Yay. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us yet again. We are just so thrilled to geek out. And where can you geek out better than at a convention? So we'll be excited to continue to explore that and continue to talk great movies.
Yay.
Yay. Thanks, guys. Bye.